If I could only keep 20 fall designer fragrances for life and I had to get rid of the rest, these are the ones that I would settle on. At least as of right now. You know, I always like to think of this as a revolving door. Depending on when I'm shooting this video, that's going to change, or this list would change, right? It all depends on what I'm really digging and enjoying at the present moment. If you were to ask me the same question next year or even in a couple months, there's a good chance a lot of these would be moved around and changed for some other ones, whether it be new releases or things that I have forgotten about and then rediscovered in my collection. But I am really enjoying all of these right here, right now, and I like them a lot. And these are the ones that I would choose to keep with myself in my collection if I had to toss out all of my other fall-leaning designers. And because there's so many, we're just going to dive right into it, try to keep this moving here so it doesn't get too crazy long. Hugo Boss Bottled Oud. What I love about this one is they maintain the Boss Bottled DNA, that cinnamon warm spiciness with a little hint of oud. And the oud does just enough to separate this from something like Boss Bottled Intense, but it doesn't push it too far to where it's too challenging or too hard to pull off or too abnormal smelling. This is still something you can wear for pretty much any situation during the fall season. This next one is a newer release here. I really like this a lot. It is Tumi 19 Degree. So if you guys are unaware, these have the cool cap situation where you twist that and it lifts right off. Nice heavy metal. The presentation on these really quite sharp. This one's got black raspberry, suede, leather, birch. Interesting note breakdown, definitely is what caught my attention first. You know, the price on this one is up there. It was like $170, I believe. It's a straight parfum concentration, but it smells killer. I mean, that black raspberry sweet combination with some woods in the base really sets this one apart. It smells fantastic. And again, the quality really holds up to what it's being offered here. The performance is great on this one as well. If you got the money laying around, or if you can grab this one for a price below retail at some point in the future, once it does get there, definitely recommend checking this one out. Something a little bit different. Tom Ford Noir Extreme is up next. It's all about the cardamom and the kulfi and all of those sweet gourmand and kind of interesting, unique notes that this one is known for. You could go for this, the EDP, you could go for the new Parfum, just totally depends. I love the Parfum, and in a lot of cases I would take that over the EDP. It's stronger, more leather, so it's a little bit more masculine. But every now and then I will go back to this one, the EDP. It's where it all started when it comes to this style here, and I really like it. It's hard to beat the OG as well. Depending on what your budget allows for, you could either go for the Extreme, which is a Parfum, or this one. Depending on what your budget allows for, you could either go for the Parfum or just go for the EDP. You really can't go wrong with either of them. I'm just happy to have this type of DNA in my collection for fall. Let's go to Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum. It's all about the iris, the vanilla, the patchouli, some black pepper. So generally, for fall, I'll go for this. This is one of the iris scents that I generally have more seat time with during fall, and go more for like DIOR Homme Intense and Valentino UOMO Intense and DIOR Homme Parfum, things like that in winter time. This one is fresher, a little bit more so compared to the others. Focuses a lot more on vanilla compared to the others, and I just find that I gravitate more towards it during the season of autumn. There was a point where you could get these for, you know, $60 on discounters. That ship has sailed. You can get testers for mid-70s, full pres 100 ml for around 80. Definitely worth picking up. You know, I love this DNA. It's fantastic. I love the heavy-handed dose of vanilla here. It makes this more wearable and more mass-pleasing than UOMO Intense, Valentino UOMO Intense, DIOR Homme Intense, whatever. Next up, we have an affordable oud scent that people are going to love the smell of. Versace Oud Noir. This is about $60 to $70, depending on if you get a tester or not. This is a tester. They do come with a cap. It's a great way to go. So it's all about the oud. You know, I kind of like to describe this one as a more designer version of Tom Ford Oud Wood, which of course is a designer as well. But, you know, between the two, Oud Wood is going to have a little bit more of not only a premium smell, more expensive smell, which I would hope that it would, but also just a little bit more quote unquote challenging in the sense that it's heavier handed oud somewhat. I would say the Versace here definitely tames it down, and they're introducing a lot of that saffron as well as some other general woody notes to make things a little bit more even, you know, and a little bit more balanced. And I think if you're looking for not only an entry-level oud scent, but an oud scent that you can actually wear that's not going to break the bank, Versace Oud Noir is probably one of your better options out there. And I think this one was made for the season of fall. Let's keep moving with Le Male Parfum. This one's got vanilla, cardamom, lavender, and a little bit of iris also. Great flanker. I love the new Elixir as well. I'll probably be wearing that one a lot more in winter as well. I've been wearing it here in fall just because it came out, you know, a few months back or whatever, and so it was a little bit warm out still. I've been really wanting to wear that one out when it's been cold, so I have been. I think that'll be one of those situations where things are going to shift around, and I'll probably be wearing something like Le Male Parfum more in fall, and then hitting Le Male Elixir and things like that in wintertime. But really, they can all be exchanged and used for any time in the cool season, basically. It's not something that has to be exact. And I think for fall, this is a great one to go for. It also has a little bit of freshness from, you know, trace elements of the original Le Male DNA, which has not been lost. Even after all of these years and all of these flankers, you still get some of that lavender vanilla OG Le Male smell in. This one just has more of a cardamom spice and a little bit of a creaminess from the iris. It's a nice twist. It's a fantastic release. Works great in the cooler weather. Next up, Dior Fahrenheit Le Parfum, of course, by Christian Dior. Man, this stuff is fantastic. You know, while you may think of Fahrenheit as a spring and early summer scent, which I would agree, or maybe just general year-rounder, the Le Parfum flanker here would be more of a fall and wintertime scent. Especially fall for me because it still has some of that violet leaf freshness, which gives it an ozonic and somewhat slightly watery feel. And so that means this one is really tolerant to those kind of more mild fall days where you might get a little bit of sun in the afternoon and it warms up a little bit. There's enough fresh balance to where this one still works. Even though you do get the rum and the leather and things like that that make this one sweeter in the dry down, it all ends up kind of working out. And to be fair, you can wear this one into the dead of winter as well. January, February, when everything's frozen over. It's no problem, but I do kind of tend to prefer this one in fall. Next up, Viktor & Rolf Spice Bomb Infrared. This is the new Eau de Parfum. Between the two, I'm taking the Eau de Parfum. I love the EDT as well. It's great. But this one in particular is interesting because it uses this red fruits accord, which I really like. And unfortunately, the atomizer on this is broken. I've shown it before in videos. What ended up happening after further inspection was that I dropped the whole bottle and it's cracked down there. So when I spray it, it literally shoots in a straight line and it just splats on my ceiling. It's bizarre. So it's harder to smell this one, but what I like is that they're not using tobacco. Interesting. The red fruits, the spices, it's a different type of sweetness, but it works together in a very interesting way to separate it from the rest of the Spice Bomb line, so it's not redundant, but still kind of having some of those roots. It's a really interesting one. Halloween Man Shot is going to be up next here. This one has iris, cardamom, and vanilla, along with some daiquiri. Very interesting note breakdown. Iris yet again, some warm spices, a nice sweet vanilla. Great stuff. It's, I think, $35 to maybe $40 on discount or somewhere around in there. Quite a bit different than Halloween Man X. So make sure you're aware of that. And depending on what you're after, you might find that Halloween Man X suits your needs better. Between the two, maybe Halloween Man X is a little bit more mass pleasing. I actually find this one to be a little bit more unique, a little bit I don't know, a different change of pace. It's less of the overdone type of sweetness and favor for some different interesting notes and even some kind of aromatics in here, which changes things up. For me, you know, from a collector standpoint, I find this one to be just a little bit more of a head turner. Let's keep it moving with this big boy right here. Invictus Victory, the original. We're not going for Elixir, which could be in here to be fair. Vanilla, tonka bean, and amber. Great flanker. You know, I think they got a little bit boring with things like Invictus Legend and you know, some of those. But the victories are really starting to turn things around. It started here with this one. I really like that a lot. And again, the new Elixir is great, but this one is less, I guess, potent and syrupy and in your face as Elixir. It's a little bit more tame and dusty and powdery with some supporting sweetness. Of course, it's an Invictus, but they also get away pretty far from and put a lot of distance between Invictus of the past and what this is now. It doesn't have like the C notes and the bubblegummy nature in that regard and the ambergris saltiness. It doesn't have that standard Invictus DNA. They're focusing more on the sweetness, just in a different variety. I think they did a great job on this one. Actually, it's grown on me a lot more compared to when I first got it, and I have a lot more respect for this one now. I do really like it for fall. Ferragamo UOMO Signature is a fantastic, smooth, and less, again, in-your-face version of the original UOMO. So this one's got some coffee and some leather to complement the tonka bean and all of the sweet notes that are, you know, going all over the place in the original UOMO. Now, the original is still really good. I love it. I think it's worth owning both. They're different enough to where it's something you can do. And they're both relatively affordable. You could get both of these for just under $100 total. You know, I think I've even seen the original UOMO lately going for lower to mid 40s. So the price on that one has come down compared to what it was at for a while. And this one is around maybe 50. So all in, it's not unreasonable. And the way I look at it is you could wear the original UOMO, I don't know, maybe for events where it's a little bit more casual, less serious, wear UOMO Signature for events where maybe you want to have a little bit more of a refined edge, but still be kind of playful. It's kind of how I look at it. This one's a little bit more masculine, a little bit less sweet and overpowering because of the leather and coffee. Mustache Eau de Parfum by Rocus. So this is kind of a clone here, but it's from a designer brand. It's just, a little twist, basically, on YSL Tuxedo, which I love. And for me, it's all about the DNA. I love the DNA. At this point, there are a lot of clones and things that smell very similar. This is one of them. You know, there are things that get closer to it than this. You know, not YSL, the Tux, Alhambra, the Tux, Fragrance World Suits, right? They clone the bottle, and they very much clone the scent as well. Those are closer clones than what I would consider this to be. A lot of focus on the pink pepper, the vanilla, the benzoin here. Less focus on the patchouli, you know, and in YSL Tuxedo and its clones, the patchouli is more of a standout, you know, on the front lines type of deal. Not so much here. So maybe you could find this one to be a little bit more wearable, slightly more fresh and easier to pull off, and maybe a bit more mass pleasing. Also, the trend with all of these is that they're more affordable than Tuxedo. Tuxedo is one of those ones where you can't really get it on discounters. It's usually sold out. You got to pay full retail. This one is around, $50 or so. Sometimes testers for a bit less. Very reasonable in comparison. Next up, we have Mr. Burberry Eau de Parfum. Cool to see this one pop up here. I do like it. This one's got patchouli, cardamom, and mint. So where the patchouli is lacking in Tuxedo, or I should say actually Rocus Mustache EDP, not lacking in Tuxedo, we're picking some up here. So a little bit of cinnamon off the top as well, which you definitely pick up on. I've got a cheat sheet here. We also have lavender, patchouli, vetiver, and amber, according to the side of the bottle. Another tester. They do come with caps. Great way to go. Again, Eau de Parfum concentration. I like this stuff. It's a Burberry. It's a Mr. Burberry. It's not over the top and it's not crazy, but it is really good. It's affordable on discounters. It's something nice and easy for fall. This is the type of thing you can just pick up, throw on, head out the door. You don't really have to do too much planning or thinking about it. You just kind of wear this when you want and it's going to work, and that's nice to have. It's something like peace of mind, something good to fall back on, to have things like this where you just spray and go. Don't have to worry about it. Because there are a lot of fragrances out there where you kind of have to be a little bit more selective with when you wear them. Not something like that. Okay, now let's go over to Mercedes-Benz Club Extreme. I got to talk about this one whenever I can because it is another fantastic patchouli scent. So keeping that ball rolling. However, a lot more patchouli here than in Burberry EDP. Now this is quite similar to Mugler's Angelman, but it's a lot more wearable, more tame, more mild. Angelman is not for everybody. It kind of has what some people have described as a tar note, which is interesting, but with all the patchouli and everything like that in there, it does have a chocolatey and type of smell to it. It's leathery. There's coffee as well, so it is kind of a gourmand-leaning scent. A little bit earthy as well. It's different. I love it, but it's not something that everybody's going to be able to wear for a lot of situations. That's where this one comes in. You know, they're still focusing down on that DNA, but it is a little bit more mild, a little bit easier to pull off, and also about half the price. Not quite half, but pretty close. This is about $50 on discounters or so. You can get it now. It is a discontinued one that has been popping up. I've seen it as low as $40 before. Definitely worth checking out. Okay, Tom Ford Grey Vetiver Parfum is up next. If you like Grey Vetiver and you want to swing the money over to the, you know, highest end and best Tom Ford Vetiver version, no reason not to go for it. It's got vetiver, saffron, and orange blossom here. It's really all you need to know about. It is the cream of the crop when it comes to vetivers. It really is. It's fantastic stuff. When you look at the market of vetiver scents out there, there's a few that stand out. You know, there's Guerlain's vetiver. There's stuff like Roja vetiver and some other niche ones. And Tom Ford Grey Vetiver has always been in the running. You know, they are always brought up when talking about standalone vetiver scents. The Parfum just makes it even better. It is soapy and classy and clean to the extreme. I mean, this does not get any more luxurious than this. So if you're looking for a vetiver scent that is strong, that has great quality, that will not let you down, go for this. You know, because of the note breakdown and the structure and just how heavy-handed it is on a more kind of earthier style vetiver with some soapiness, but not fully, this one works great for fall. Next up, we have the one Eau de Parfum Intense by Dolce & Gabbana, of course. Now, this one here has cashmere, cardamom, benzoin, and leather. It was misleading to a lot of us because we kind of got our hopes up and thought that maybe it was going to be the 180p, that DNA, but stronger. Unfortunately, not the case. That being said, it's a pretty good flanker. You know, they are bringing in the modernized cashmere wood, which is very strong, and it's by far the most prominent note, which is used heavily in things like DIOR OMBRE 2020. So it gives it that modern woodiness, that freshness. You're getting some warm spices, some support from the amber and things like that. It's a really nice composition that does work well in fall when the temperatures are kind of all over the place. Let's go for another wearable oud, M7 Oud Absolu by YSL. It's all about the oud, the patchouli, the orange, and what else? Some myrrh in here as well. Fantastic oud. Going to be a little bit more challenging than Versace Oud Noir, but not by a huge margin. This is still something that with a little bit of, you know, confidence and also just a little bit of experience, it's easy to pull off. You know, when you wear this for the first time, you might feel like, oh, this is not working well. But if you wear it enough and you get used to wearing things that are a little bit out of your comfort zone, you don't stress about it as much. This is the type of thing that is very wearable in a lot of situations. LALIQUE Ombre Noir. What a fantastic, unique, boozy scent. This one is really something different. It shocked me. You know, it's got tobacco leaf, cognac, cinnamon, and myrrh. It's a little bit more of an aromatic tobacco, booziness, of course. A little bit of a smoky kick, some sweetness. Smells great. And that, I mean, just smelling it off the dry down here, a little bit of a cinnamon nature. It almost smells like a cinnamon stick, you know, like those things that you get in fall, the things you know, scent your home with. Has some of that going on. Good amount of depth behind it as well. I don't even need to spray it to really be able to smell it pretty good. One you can get on discounters for, I think it's $60 to $70. It is a fantastic pickup, something very unique. Okay, we're going to end things off with Prada Luna Rossa Black and Eau de Beau by L'Occitane. So start off with the Prada here because I can pronounce this one correctly. It's got tonka bean and amber. That's all you need to know. It is probably one of the most powdery designer scents for men on the market. Just talking designers, talking, you know, fragrances labeled for men, not unisex. This is probably one of the most powdery focused ones, powdery, dusty, and ashy, and all of that stuff. Not going to be for everybody, you know. And on the other hand, Eau de Beau is also kind of like a cinnamon stick. It really smells like that. Kind of smells a little bit like, I don't know, cinnamon stick and like those cinnamon brooms that they also, you know, put in stores in fall that you can scent your home with. You know, it smells like the Halloween decor section at your favorite store. Interesting stuff. It's got vanilla, cypress, and incense here. Works great in winter as well. Some people say it kind of smells like Christmas, similar to, you know, Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. That's a fair point as well, and I can see that. I guess you can kind of take your pick. I think it'll work either way. I do like it in fall. I like the woods. I like the cypress. That, to me, gives it a little bit more of that fall feel as well. It would work great for anything. This is really good stuff for a great price. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Keep only 20 designer fall fragrances for life and toss the rest. These are what they would be right now, but it would probably change if I did the list again tomorrow. So I will link them down below. Deals and notifications for restocks and sales you can find on my mailing list and texting list down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.